Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions. Today, we head back to the early days of Panerai manufacture movements, a model launched in 2006. This is the Panerai Luminor 1950 8 Days GMT PAM00233, a watch featuring the Eric Klein Valfleurier designed caliber 2002/1. It is emblematic of those early Panerai manufacture movements where it seems like raw ambition was the guiding light for the entire project, not an attempt to create a Panerai-built equivalent to the old ETA and Unitas calibers, but to vault the company into competition with the likes of IWC and Jaeger-LeCoultre in terms of movement sophistication. And this watch certainly achieves that. The example in my hand, as you can see from the case back, being of 2008 manufacture. It's a 44 millimeter steel watch, 17.4 millimeters thick, so they were thick and big. 54 lug-to-lug, and then a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The watch doesn't seem quite that large when you put it on the wrist, and as with most Panerai watches, even if it's too big for you, it still kind of looks right. It's just the aesthetic of them. They're designed to be oversized. But you can see that it's not comical on my 16 centimeter wrist, so while I normally wouldn't choose a 44 millimeter watch, especially one 54 lug-to-lug. Panerai lugs are less offensive if they overlap your wrist a little bit. You look at the square of the case, and that's really the sizing reference. And as you can see, this wears all right. If your wrist is 16 centimeters circumference and up, this is going to be a pretty good match. It's also pretty heavy. We'll bring Sammy the scale into the frame. Keep in mind, this is a strap watch on a pin buckle, and it's not made of precious metal either. So there you go, well over 1/4 pound of watch on your wrist. The strap is a lovely piece and a little bit unconventional. It almost feels like high-end automotive upholstery in that it's highly sculpted with channels and dips and swells. You can see it's a broad folded edge with a monotone stitch calfskin, and then calfskin on the bottom as well. Brand new Panerai factory strap with the company's distinctive trapezoidal pin buckle, a historical throwback. You could see it, as well as the strap at the lugs, secured by unconventional means. Here we have screws and bars rather than a spring bar system, very secure, more confidence-inspiring than a spring bar. And here we have a fascinating sequel to Panerai's original screw and bar system. Just as secure, it's a little bit easier to use, and you don't have to risk your lug finish against your skill with a screwdriver. So you just press this little dimple on the bottom, and then you slide the bar through. And then again, this takes a 24 millimeter strap size. So it has the sort of quick release, semi-quick release system designed to make it easy to swap, but still preserves the security of these screws and bars, preserving that sure, tight, fail-safe kind of security. I've seen spring bars age, pull out, pop out, not be correctly seated, disaster follows. This is better. The 1950 case, we first saw this on the PAM127 of 2002, at least in the modern era. It's designed to be a little bit closer to the original Panerai combat watches of the 1950s. Taking a look, we also have this dramatic glass box sapphire that is also designed in homage to the Panerai watches of the 50s. And so we've got this plexi-like domed profile, the device protecting the crown. Actually quite useful to this day. First of all, it's an iconic design. You know what brand and you know what model. Not many crown guards are that distinctive. But also it offers you a perpendicular defense against a hard hit directly to the crown. On a conventional shouldered crown guard like a Seamaster or a Submariner, a perpendicular hit can still cause damage, not here. This is hard to miss, so accidental drowning is far less likely here than if you've got a screw down crown that's turned out a quarter, a half, maybe 1 or 2 turns. So this is a little safeguard against jumping into the water. Also, it doesn't wear out the stem tube assembly or the seal, and this was really the point of it back in the day, because the early Panerai watches of the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s were all manual wind watches, initially Rolex Codebert, later Angelus SF240 movements, and so constantly threading the crown in and out on the earlier Rolex manufactured cases, because Rolex built more than just the movement. And that constant in and out to set and wind the watches was wearing out the seals. So here you've got a system where you never have to thread in or thread out. You merely compress the seal and decompress. So the second you lift this, you're able to wind the watch, you're able to set the watch, whether you want to move the local hour hand independently, or what we'll do is we'll wind this up so you can see some of its functions. We have a 0 reset second system here. We have a dual time function. We have a date, and then we have what's known as the Panerai dog fang style power reserve down at the bottom. There are a couple of different power reserve designs on Panerai watches. This one's known as the dog fang for obvious reasons. Now you can see we have a little AM PM for the second time zone, that little aperture below the seconds hand. Watch what happens when I pull the crown out all the way. Watch the seconds hand. See how it instantaneously resets to 12? That makes it easier to set the watch precisely against a reference time. And because both the local and the reference time zone are in a 12-hour format, you can superimpose those hour hands when you don't need the second time zone to clean up the dial. So what you're looking at right here, let's just clarify this so you know exactly. Let's just do this. There we go. Okay. So I ask, am I looking in that second time zone at 4 p.m. or 4 a.m.? Well, I look at the little aperture below the seconds hand, and I can see its light, so I'm looking at 4 p.m. It is still daytime. You can see, as we progress through the evening, that will transition to dark. So that's the idea right there. You know whether you're looking at a.m. or p.m. As we roll around, you can see now it's light outside. Okay, that's a lot of fun. So let's talk a little bit about the loom. Sandwich dial, so a stencil on top of a fully loomed disc. That's why all these little indices have depths to them, because this is a stencil on top of a loomed disc. Turn off the light, and you can see the dial is very elaborately loomed. Even the power reserve indicator is luminescent. Take another look as we swing. See that the entirety of this dial is well loomed. And this is dusk till dawn loom, all night. Turning it over, you can see that the watch features a caliber 2002, manual wind, 8-day power reserve, 3 mainspring barrels, shock resistant with a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance, 4 hertz beat rate, 21 joules, 0 reset seconds, GMT, a date, a power reserve indicator, and a nice large size, so it fills the case back of this substantial watch. You can also see that although the finish is mechanically applied, it is handsome, and we're designed to read this whole triplicate of primary bridges as a single 3/4 plate, as you would have found on an old Panerai watch. So there's a lot to love here. It is both technically sophisticated, attractive to the eye, and then one could also say it has a lot of utility, as all these features are quite useful between the second time zone, the date, the power reserve indicator, and the 0 reset seconds function. So if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. One more detail, just in case we weren't totally clear, 100 meters of water resistance. So put it on a different strap and it is very swimmable.